Trader Joe's is one of the most successful supermarkets in the country. Actually, I hesitate to use the term supermarket because actually a small market. Most Trader Joe's are about 4,000 square feet or less. So what is the trick that makes Trader Joe's such a profitable and successful company? A lot of it has to do with the quirky nature of the Trader Joe's founding. The founder of Trader Joe's noticed there's a market for higher quality items, but people don't necessarily have the money to actually afford those items. And as an example, during the time period of the 1970s, the price for travel domestically or internationally, it was dropping, and a record number of people were going to college too, thanks to the GI Bill of Rights. So you got these people who were thinking, you know what, I don't really want Folgers coffee and Ovaltine and Oreo cookies and all the kind of mainstream mass marketed crap that exists in a lot of these supermarkets. They realize there's a ton of people who have refined tastes, but they don't necessarily have the highest possible incomes. So this created an incredible market for Trader Joe's. What Trader Joe's thought about was, how do we get these items that are unique and affordable and are able to sell in large quantities? So one thing that Trader Joe's has done, if you ever been in a store, almost 80% of the items are under the Trader Joe's label. This allows them to deal directly with the suppliers, and they're able to offer a lower price because this has their label on it. There are other cool things that Trader Joe's does that a lot of people don't even know how the supermarket business works. For one thing, a lot of brands pay a lot of money to be in the front of the store, but as a result of literally kind of paying rent to be up front in the stores, a lot of these items are more expensive because the cost of basically the placement gets passed on to you. Trader Joe's doesn't have that. Since 80% of the items are their own brand, and the other items they don't accept money to be displayed in the store. There's none of those extra costs that are just added to the mix and it costs you more money. Another thing that I think is really a special nature that has made Trader Joe's so successful is their indoor artists. Like, at first you would think, well, that seems like an indulgence. Why do you have to pay for an artist in the store? But it actually makes sense. On a lot of the items, there's literally handwritten notes. The price is sometimes handwritten. They'll have like an interesting advertising on the item that's drawn. For instance, on bananas, there was one where the sketch is, these prices are bananas. Like, these bananas are priced is this ridiculously priced? And so what happens is that I think people find these quirky, eccentric, and very individualistic marketing campaigns are really in a very appealing way, because it just makes them think, oh wow, this is like a little tiny store, and it's almost like a mom and pop store. Even though it's a chain, people still really relate to the businesses because there's so much individual attention to things. The other cool thing that I've noticed is that employees at Trader Joe's definitely do know what they're talking about a lot of items, because they actually purposely make it so that there aren't so many items that it's impossible for employees to not really know what's going on in the store. Like, if you go to the supermarket, most employees have no clue about any of the items. They haven't tried it. They don't really know that much about it. They never chat with you that much about it. But apparently at Trader Joe's, since they have fewer items, a lot of these employees are very familiar with them, and they're also willing to give you samples of almost any item except if it needs to be heated or something like that. So I think that there's a lot of focus on individual attention, making it seem like this is a small business even though it's a large business, and I think that's brilliant. The other thing you've noticed, and I don't think they'll ever do, they don't have self-checkout at Trader Joe's, and I think it's because they think it takes away from the individual attention that you're getting at Trader Joe's. Because if they did self-checkout, you're kind of thinking, well, this this is just a large business. They just want me to check out and leave. They don't really care about me. I think they really care about that individual connection that you get at the market. So I think that's another part of the reason why people get really connected with the business. The other thing is they really are quite amazing at keeping certain prices really low. Like apparently alcohol, they have like $2 alcohol. So things like that really are ways that consumers are never going to be angry that prices are really, really low. I think they're always going to be amazed by that. And they claim that the other trick is by paying employees extremely high wage. Like they have a high wage cost structure. So that way you don't really have very high turnover, and you get employees are kind of almost fanatics about the company too. So you kind of get it both ways. You get fanatical customers and you get fanatical employees, and you almost want to have a cult-like following, because that actually handles a lot of the low advertising costs. In fact, Trader Joe's doesn't really do much advertising. So if you think about your business, if you think, oh, I need to advertise, well, maybe you do a little bit, but it shows you that if you provide exceptional service, that the word has a way of getting out there. In fact, the biggest cost for marketing at Whole Foods, not at Whole Foods, at Trader Joe's, has to do with the sampling policy. That is their largest marketing expense. So they write it off as a marketing expense. And in a way that makes sense, because they are marketing to people who are already in the store. That's actually more brilliant than advertising on a radio or television or on a website, because maybe those people never show up. Whereas in the store, you're marketing to people already there. So that's actually sounds like a great policy. The truth is, I actually think quirky businesses like this do very well. I think that you might see this kind of policy spring up in other areas as time goes on. I remember when Virgin America was such a great airline, because it kind of was like Trader Joe's in a sense that if you felt like you were treated differently, it was a very unique experience, and you appreciate all the quirky policies of the store, and people really respond very well to that. So if you are thinking of creating a small business, think about some of the lessons that we learned from Trader Joe's. And I'd like to hear what your comments are in the comments below. And if you found this video interesting, click like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.